Hi there, I'm Tom Fields, Senior Vice President of Editorial with Information Security Media Group. I want to welcome you to ISMG Studio at Black Hat. I am joined by my colleagues, Aseem Jakhar and Michael Novinson. And together, we've had the opportunity to have some fascinating conversations here within the studio over the course of the past 2 days. And we've got some more interviews scheduled for tomorrow. But I wanted to take this opportunity to distill a little bit of what we've heard over the past couple of days. And to know that there have been themes. I don't think we've had any conversation where AI hasn't come up. I don't think we've had any conversation where CrowdStrike hasn't come up. And then a lot of discussion about the economy and about upcoming elections. There's so much here, but I wanted to speak with each of you about some of the themes that you're getting from the conversations. Michael, how about we start with you?
Thank you for the opportunity, Tom. I think really I was trying to distill it because it's been a lot, but social engineering has been really front and center. Certainly AI has amplified that conversation. Spoke with Brendan Kovacs over at Bishop Fox about real-time deepfakes audio and video that they're going to be demoing at Black Hat. So certainly in that context, in terms of some of these scams that are going on, intercepting emergency alert, like emergency requests to service providers and getting into those. So just a lot of manipulating people using advanced technology. And then certainly as well, the CISO of Maricopa County, Arizona, Lester Godsey, they've been in front and center when it comes to election-related misdis and malinformation, swing county and a swing state in the United States. And they've put together a whole framework in order to figure out how to deal with risk, how to assess the level of risk that certain threats pose, and then what actions they should take. So just it's a lot easier to manipulate people now with the advances in technology, and certainly a lot of thoughts around that. Oh, and one more on that front, which would be dating apps. Fascinating interaction I had with some researchers out in Belgium about location-based dating apps and being able to use that exact location data that those apps compile to harass and stalk people. So some heavy topics certainly, but just a lot about that human element and how to manipulate people.
I wouldn't have thought you could bridge election security with dating applications, but you did a magnificent job at that.
Thank you. It was some really serious topics in here, but just really a convergence of that cyber and that physical world and seeing the two of them interact across geographies and skirting regulations. One more thing for me, which would just be from a policy standpoint, we've had some people from think tanks and people from government. DARPA was in here. I know you got to speak with the head of the European cyber, and just a lot of thoughts about how to regulate AI, whether it's legislatively, whether it's from agencies in the United States, how that manifests itself, and what needs to happen in the future, particularly with privacy being front and center.
I had the chance. I ran into Lester last night, by the way, in the lobby of the hotel, and I listened to a little bit about what he's going through in Maricopa County. Talk about being right in the center of it.
For sure.
Fascinating follow-up conversations to have.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Aseem, your first time at ISMG Studio here.
Yes.
I know not your first time at Black Hat, you've been here before, but here in essentially the hot seat, being able to talk with people, what have been highlights of your conversations?
There have been many, but the key takeaway for me for this Black Hat, if you ask me, was the discussion on machine learning platforms. And that was truly an eye-opener because it seems that the models, the LLM or AI models that developers or everyone use, I use it on a daily basis. It seems that these formats for these models have provision for code. So in simple terms, it means that, for example, when you receive an email, you open a PDF file. That PDF file executes code on your behalf, which you don't even know. Now take that thing and put it in an ML model where there's no user who can see it. It can run in your infrastructure because model can be loaded anywhere, not just on your PCs as well. And so this thought is really scary. And the interviews also mentioned that they found cases where there was malicious code present in the models, and these models are uploaded for people to just download and use. So I think it's going to be very interesting times ahead with the ML security. On the other side, we are seeing typically similar attacks and vulnerabilities being found on the embedded side, like IoT devices, embedded devices, OT devices. And one of the themes that I see is that there is definitely some kind of a disconnect between, the traditional application software development developers and embedded developers, because we're just repeating the same mistakes that we've been doing in traditional software security. So people are finding the same kind of bugs that they used to find in normal software back in the 90s. Imagine they're exactly the same replica, same vulnerabilities. And then because these are devices, the attack surface is also increased. There is radio interfaces as well. Now you have Bluetooth, a lot of Bluetooth devices, and people are identifying vulnerabilities via Bluetooth and then executing malicious code on the devices using these. So that was scary and interesting at the same time. And the third was a discussion on SSH protocol, which I initially thought, because it's been beaten to death already. So and it's omnipresence. It's used everywhere for secure access, secure communication. But even still today, some of the researchers did a scan on the internet, and they found that there are a lot of systems, a lot of devices still using no authentication or weak authentication, or the authentication has vulnerabilities. So imagine there are still systems available which have which attackers can access, and then use those systems to steal data or pivot. So we're still not safe.
Aseem, how have you enjoyed this position, being here and having these conversations in our studio?
Oh, it was amazing, because you get to know a lot of things. So because my day to day, I can only do so much, right? So I can't focus on everything. But when you speak to these researchers, you really you come to know what is the state of the art in both offensive as well as defensive technologies. So absolutely worth it.
I think the word I've used most today in the last 2 days has been privilege, because it is such a privilege to have people in here and have these conversations. Right before we sat down, I spoke with Sam Curry, the global CISO in residence at Zscaler, and we were talking about AI and whether it is either the most hyped technology ever or the least hyped technology ever, and perhaps it's both. Terrific conversation. You mentioned the opportunity to be with Hans de Vries of ENISA, talking about election security and helping to secure the different nations within Europe, and then the huge remit there and the global information sharing. What a privilege to have the opportunity to sit and speak with them. And I think that memorable conversations for me, earlier today I sat here with Bolushevsky and with Marley Smith of RedSense, and the topic was ransomware. And the contention was that ransomware is in decline. And I fought back against that a little bit, because the premise was that ransomware itself, the attackers haven't evolved much over the past 5 years, and the defenses have. I don't disagree with that, but I also think that the attacks haven't evolved because they haven't had to. They're still successful.
Yeah.
And the defenses have evolved, but like anything, you have to adopt those defenses for them to work. And we always talk about the lack of cyber hygiene that organizations have. I'm not so sure that ransomware is yet in decline, but I respect the opinion that was shared here.
An interesting point on that, we had Michael Sikorsky in here, who's the CTO for Unit 42 at Palo Alto Networks. He was talking about how Russian state actors for 20 months continued to exploit the same vulnerability in Microsoft Office because they continued to find organizations that weren't protecting against it. So keep running this. If it works, keep running the same play out of your playbook.
Mm-hmm. I said, the other privilege I had was sitting here with Joe Marshall with Cisco Talos, talking about Project Power Up, which was working with Ukraine to keep the lights on during the attack by Russia. And to hear, we know that when the power goes out, when infrastructure gets taken down, it's work to get out there and to get up on poles and to reconnect lines and to deal with the natural issues you have to deal with. To have people shooting at you at the same time while you're trying to do that, a lot of admiration for the work that was done and the lessons that were learned and can be applied to protecting critical infrastructure in an increasingly insecure world. So what an honor, what a privilege for us to be able to sit here and have these discussions. Single takeaway for you from the conversations you've had so far? If you were to call home and someone to say, what are you getting from this, what would you share?
ML security is going to be a big issue.
Michael, for you?
I'm going to say, just from policy talks and I didn't mention it earlier, but I spoke to somebody who compared, some researchers from Harvard who compared 9 different national cybersecurity frameworks. We really need a federal privacy policy here in the United States. That this fragmented approach where every state's doing its own thing is not serving organizations well, it's not serving users well, and at least when it comes to privacy, we need to follow what the EU is doing and create national privacy, especially with the stakes being raised by generative AI.
Well, you make a compelling case, but my concern is that security and privacy in the U.S. are no longer nonpartisan issues. They've become politicized, and particularly in an election year, I don't see that changing soon. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're right.
Yeah.
But still, great conversations to have, to continue. Take this up, have more conversations tomorrow. Come back and share what you learned. Thanks so much for being a part of this.
Thank you, Tom.
Aseem.
Thank you, Tom.
And for Information Security Media Group at ISMG Studio at Black Hat, I'm Tom Field. Thank you so much for your time and attention and tuning into all of the suite of interviews that we share with you. It is our privilege. Thank you.